Alright everybody, welcome to another episode of Poncho's Paint Booth. For all your hobby and painting and modeling needs. Well, just painting, actually. And real quick, if you haven't already done so, yes, this hand. Go down into the corner, hit like and subscribe here on YouTube to Multi-Murdy Media. You will get this playlist, which is Poncho's Paint Booth. I've got a few videos already on here. Just a couple. You've seen. You will also get the various gutsy-ass gamer playlists. Right now, my main one is me playing Fallout 4, so it's, video games and Twitch and all that stuff. And then you'll also get the video version of my podcast with me and Tom. Maybe another person by now. I don't know. I don't know exactly when I'm coming out with this, but the jankety-ass podcast, so go ahead and check that out. And, well, I get some more plugs that I'll drop at the end of the episode here. So, what are we doing today? This time I am working on the second part of my Chaos Marine commission that I'm doing for a friend. Once again, still in the blacklegion colors. You remember I did the possessed already. Now, we are also doing this time, let's scroll down, the Chaos Venomcrawler. So this thing is a daemonengine, and I don't know why this thing's having so much trouble focusing. Oh, it does nothing. Anyways, so it's a daemonengine. The small, I want to say this is the smallest variant that they've come out with. This guy came out in the Shadow Spear box set a while back, and the idea was that he's decently strong. He's got some stabby stabs and some claws and a couple of guns here on either side that are deceptively strong. But also one of the gimmicks that they made with this guy is that it's easier for other characters to summon demons when they're in the vicinity of this thing. But that mechanic doesn't really work that well, so it didn't matter. And just like the possessed that you've already seen me do, this guy is also going to be done up in the blacklegion color scheme. So that's basically going to be black armor with gold trim, and then all the other details and fun stuff and all that stuff. But once again, the base is not part of it, so that's just going to be black, and Client's going to do that up later. Let's see. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start on the armor. We're going to do a little bit of dry brushing. And so the black is already done, which is nice. And we're basically just going to go in with our field gray and do a little bit of dry brushing over it. So that's just going to give us a little bit more life in some of these surfaces. So it's not like, just this ugly, bland, reflective crap that you're looking at right now. And also to help me, I finally got one of the big boy Citadel stands. And this thing is big enough to actually hold a base of this size. Which is nice because it's easier to paint if I'm just holding onto a handle like this, rather than holding onto the base. And then, obviously, anytime you're using these bases, once you're done painting something, you want to go ahead and pop the model out, because otherwise you'll screw up the springs on the bottom of this thing. But for now, you don't need to worry about that. We're going to go ahead and get started with the gray. So I should actually prepare while I'm doing this. Main brush, don't need that yet. Where are you? Dry brush, here we go. Get this nice and shook up. And let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so that's really all we need to do with our gray here, which isn't a whole lot. And the effects aren't even really that pronounced, but there's a little bit more there, which is what I'm going for in this case. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start working on the trim. And that is going to be a bit more of an ordeal. As you can see, there's a lot of trim, just like all these edgings around here, like on the body and the head, and of course the legs. And I don't think there's not so much underneath, so that's good. But in order to do that, I will be using the Retributor armor from Citadel. And as you may remember me mentioning this before, but there really isn't a good substitute for this color in any of the major dropper bottle ranges, so I'm stuck just using this, and yeah, I'm just going to paint out of the pot. I don't really care what other people say, because, well, this isn't, a big project, so clean my palette a little bit. And, well, again, this isn't the first time I'm doing trim, so you already know what to expect. Let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so that was annoying, but got through it. It's all the gold trim that we really need to do. Actually, I'm going to leave that color out. So now the last thing that we need to do for right now is to add a little bit of depth onto this trim. Or a little bit of detail. And to do that, we're going to turn to our Reichland Flesh Shade. Jesus Christ, I can never get this right. Reichland Flesh Shade. And this is going to be added onto the gold trim, and what it's going to do is it's going to add a reddish tint to the gold color, and it's also going to give us some more detail by filling in the crevices. So like you'll see like the vents here, those are going to stand out and be filled in, or stand in, I guess. We'll also get more detail in stuff like the face, this big old demon face that he's got on the side of his shell. And then, of course, just around the spikes and stuff like that. So, this is also going to take a bit, so let's not waste any more time. good enough. So we got our trim done. We got our base layer done. Dry this up. And so for now, as always, whenever we do washes, we want to let them dry off for a while. Give me a nice little better view, so you can kind of see the body. Well, yeah, the body's got all kinds of detail now. You can see that face in there better. And then of course the helmet on this thing starting to take shape. And you can see some of the details in the legs and such. So let's let that dry for now, and we will return soon. Okay, so we got through all the trim and I applied some wash to it. It's all looking nice. So now what it's time to do is it's time to get into the fleshy elements of this guy, which there's a lot of. You know what, let me readjust here. There we go. Having the stand on this thing makes it a little higher and hard to see. But, so what I'm going to do now is, well, the elements in question now are, you can't see this that well, but he's got a mouth. He, she, it, this thing. So I'm going to be dealing with that kind of like around here, that's inside the helmet area. Here in between the head and kind of a thorax region, there's a lot of like skin and cables and stuff like that, which you can't really see that well right now because there's shadow and it's all still primed. And then of course going into the legs, underneath, and then in the back of the abdomen. Now what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a couple different steps, but I'm not entirely sure exactly what this is going to look like yet because I haven't actually done one of these guys yet. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit most of those areas with our cobalt skin. This gives us a nice skin. Actually, do I want to use this? Yes. Yeah, I'll stick with this color. So it's going to be cobalt skin over the most of those areas, and then I will see what that looks like, and I'll come back in and do a few areas with the centaur skin, which is our more pinkish skin tone. It's not quite pink, but it's getting there. So let's go ahead and get started with the cobalt skin. Alright, so you can kind of see what I was talking about as I was going through. Is a little bit of a... Okay, whenever this thing focuses in. Come on. What the fuck? You know, I think this thing seems to focus better when it's not recording. It seems like. Maybe? Oh, what the... Okay, well. Anyway, so you can see that... Oh, there we go. Yeah, kind of right there in the body is sort of like the main chunk that I'm working on. And then also, you know, a bit around the mouth here. And as well as in the back of the abdomen and all these pipes coming off the legs and down under. You'll also notice that I'm definitely going to need a second coat on this. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do right now. Alright, so we've got the base done on the flesh parts of this guy, girl thing, whatever. And I'm not really sure why it's not zooming in at all, or refocusing. You know what, I'm actually going to, well, this paint is still a little bit wet, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to let it sit for now. Yeah, she should be refocusing already. It should be refocusing already. It was doing it just fine when I wasn't recording. I'm actually going to go ahead and take a quick break and see if I can't do anything about that. Alright, focusing test again. There we go. Okay. I believe I've fixed the focusing issue. Maybe let's give it another shot. Yeah, there you go. So you can see the work that I did before here in the back of the abdomen, underneath, and kind of here and there around the legs. So what I'm going to do now is I'll put the skin away, get that out of the way, and now we're going to use our centaur skin. And sorry, okay. Our centaur skin is going to go into some other spots, so you can kind of see, like, especially underneath, there's more like flesh pipes and stuff like that, and especially around the legs and of course on the top here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over parts of those with the centaur skin to give it a more pinkish look, and that's going to overall give me, you know, just a little bit more color texture in on this guy. Just a little bit more, just more detail to kind of not be so monotonous. And then after that, we're going to go over it with Agressive shade to really get, you know, even more texture in there. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I think that's about all we need. I definitely prepared more paint than I needed, which is fine, I guess. All right, let's see if this auto zoom holds up. Yeah, or autofocus. So you can see kind of underneath, especially there's a few spots that are more pinkish. That's what I did. Wow, got the hiccups already. That's what I did just now. And not so much on the front here. So now let's go ahead and get into the last step that we're going to do for this little bit, and then we're going to kind of take a break. And that is, this should not go here. It should go there. And that is going to be to get the Agressive shade on the skin. That's going to give us a nice textured shade all over those areas. So let's do it. Alright, got what we wanted there. Let's see if our zoom is still holding up. Alright, so you can see I got some shading there in behind the head, around the jaw a bit. It's still not that much because I haven't done the inside of the mouth yet, but we will, and his tongue and all that shit. And of course we got some shading in the back. It looks kind of like crap right now, but then, you know, who cares? This thing's a demon anyway. So whatever. So what we're going to do is we'll let this dry off, and then I will come back in and get some dry brushing done. Are you listening to this show and thinking, man, I'd like to start a podcast, but I don't even know where to start? Well, Buzzsprout has the answers for you. Buzzsprout is a podcast hosting service that provides a number of valuable resources to help you on your podcasting career path. For one, Buzzsprout offers indefinite hosting of all your episodes and allows you to host as much material as you want, depending on the type of subscription that you opt for. Buzzsprout also provides a means for getting your show hosted to every major podcasting platforms such as iTunes, Pandora, Spotify, you name it. In addition, Buzzsprout also provides various means to get your show monetized through various sponsorship and affiliate programs, links to other paid hosting platforms such as Patreon and YouTube, and your own personal newsroom to learn all the tips and tricks for optimizing your podcast for the greatest return on your investment. If you're hearing all this and you're still interested, you can go to my link below and receive an Amazon gift card for starting a podcast hosting subscription that you'll receive on the second billing period of your podcast journey. Everyone has something to share, and there's no time like the present. Join Buzzsprout today. Alright, so this is all dried up. Our wash on the skin. As you can see, we got some nice, what's the word I'm looking for? Detail negative detail is what I'm thinking of. Especially like right in here. This is kind of the best example. Sorry. Right down there in the cracks. And it looks like I lost my camera focusing again. But, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dry brush over all the skin areas that I've just done with cobalt skin again, and that'll bring out some of the highlights and stuff as well. And this shouldn't take too long. And then that's all I'm going to do for now, because I haven't gotten around to planning out the rest of this guy yet. So, and I probably don't even need to speed up at all, so just get in there and start just doing a little bit of dry brushing. Nothing too major. Also because I don't want to accidentally go over the trim that I've already painted. So let's see if I can avoid that. Now under here is where I can really get some good work in. And it does unfortunately kind of drown out the the sections that I did with the more pinkish skin that I was using, the centaur skin color, but that's okay. I mean, this also helps to make for more, it helps the colors kind of flow together a bit, especially between the two different colors and the wash. Just a little bit down here on the pipes and tendons, or I guess whatever you would call this. Some down deep where you can't really show the camera that well. So I won't get too heavy. And then I just need to do, I want to call this the neck, but I feel like that's not really the right word. But it is a neck. And I can't even really get into the jaw. Also, I think it might be time for me to get a new dry brush here pretty soon, one of these days. But for now, yeah, that's all I'm going to do on this guy. And then wherever I come back, we'll start getting into, let's see, like some of the metal and similar details. So, we'll do that in a sec. Alright, let's try this again. So we finished working on the skin on this guy thing, so that's going to be like all the pipes underneath and all that stuff, as you can see. And so now what I'm going to work on is some of the more finer details, starting with like internals and teeth and eyes and stuff like that. So what that's going to be is you can see that he's got these eye lenses here and his helmet. I wonder how close I can get. I still haven't figured out the focusing issue with my camera, so I just sort of set it to static right here. So yeah, eye lenses, and then we've got this mouth here with the tongue hanging out on the main body, as well as one on the other side, and there's a couple eyes here as well. Those are going to be done up. And then just like the teeth and, oh yeah, and of course his mouth here with this big ass tongue hanging out. So what we're going to do is for the inside of the mouths, and things like that. And I think there's actually a couple other, no, never mind. So for that, we're going to use our terracotta red. That's like a nice deep red, and once I put a wash over it, it looks more like it's wet. So it'll make sense once I'm done. And then for the eyes, those are going to be our pure red. It's nice and bright. And of course for the teeth, and there are some horns here as well on the legs, especially on this one in the back here. And also a couple other spikes. Let's see, and there's a couple skulls on here too. There's one that's stuck on his top crest here, and then there's another one deep down here as part of the base, which you can't really see right now, but it's right in there. So I will go ahead and start. Oh, and then whenever I'm done, I'm going to hit all those areas with Aggressive shade. That'll give us our primary texture. And to start out with, we are going to use the terracotta and paint up some insides. So let's go ahead and get that started. Okay, you'll notice I had to cut a little bit because the white was taking a bit of a time to dry. That was I don't think I actually showed the color. That was our handy dandy Drake's tooth, which I've used a number of times. You guys have seen. So, and I also forgot to mention that he's got the spine in the back here, so we went ahead and did that up as well. Let's see, a little bit closer view of our demon face there. We've got some teeth and a nice maw. Same with the other side where his tongue's hanging out, and of course his face, which is a little bit hard to show because he's got this big ass crest kind of blocking the view. And you can't really see the skull and the train piece there, other than just like that white spot. You'll have to trust me that it's the skull. So we'll go ahead and let this dry off for now, and we'll come back in a second. Alright, so all those details that we worked on are nice and dry, so now it's time to start working on all the metal parts all over this guy. Focus is still kind of grainy, but whatever. So what that's going to be, all these claws, the tentacles, parts near the body, and then of course all this stuff in the back here, like the pipes and these plates that kind of run underneath his abdomen. And to do that, I was going to be using our gunmetal. That's kind of our standard steel color metal. And then once we're done with that, we'll hit the whole thing with Nuln Oil. And actually, I do have one that I already finished up, so you can kind of see. This is sort of what it's going to look like, all the silver and stuff like that. Actually, before I do the Nuln Oil, here, I'm just going to do the metal for now, because there's actually a couple other things that I need to do before applying the Nuln Oil. So let's go ahead, get this guy mounted up again, and we'll get started. Alright, so I got all the metal stuff done, or the base color, anyway. So you see we got all these claws and plates and just all kinds of shit. And a little bit down here on the base, can't see as well, kind of, and the back pipes coming out of his abdomen. So, I actually don't have a lot of time. I got other stuff to do. And what I did want to wait for before applying the washes, because you can see on the base here, there's a couple of like rocks and stone slabs. So like I got one here, and then there's this pillar that it's standing on. And then also there's a couple pipes. Not like the exhaust that he's got back here, but there's a few pipes down here in the abdomen that I also want to paint up. Gray, kind of the same color as the stone. And then once I do that, then I can, put everything in the wash. But for now, we'll just let this sit, and we'll be back in a second. Alright, back. So, like I said, what we're going to do now is we're going to paint up these rocks that are on the base, and then there's also some pipes in the back here that need a little bit of that touch of gray. So we're going to use ash gray for that. That's our lightest gray that I have. Anyway, I'm sure there's a couple lighter ones, but this is pretty good all-purpose stuff. And yeah, so then once I'm done with this, we're going to hit it with the null oil, and then that'll be all we can do for the moment. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we got the wash in, and really there's only a few details left on this guy. So not a whole lot left. But for now, we're going to go ahead and I'll show you the back real quick. I don't have the best lights for this. Actually. Yeah, there we go. So, as always, we're going to go ahead and let this thing dry off, and then we will come back and a little bit, and we should be able to finish this guy off. So. Alright, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to finish this guy off. So, let's see, there's a few details that we need to do still. So one, actually, this will actually be the second thing, but what I want to do is go back in with the ash gray and hit all these edges, do a little bit of dry brushing, pop those out. Then also, I'm going to be busting out our white, and what I'm going to do with that is you can kind of see there's some, here, maybe this will help. See these black areas that I have here that I haven't touched yet? That's what that's going to be. So that's going to kind of be like a internal energy type of thing, which I'm going to use to fill in with the Iandan yellow contrast. And this is the same. This is actually the same thing that I did with my the Necron energy weapons. So it looks like fire, basically. Or at least the colors do. Not so much the texture, of course. And then also at the same time, there's this little ribbon of hair up here that's stuck on his spike crest up top, so that's also going to be white base. And then I'm going to be using a Keelan green to give me the color. It's more of a blue. But anyways, once I'm done with all that, that'll be it. We'll be done. So let's go ahead and get started with the white. Okie dokie, that's it. This guy's done. That is our blacklegion Venomcrawler, all finished. Sans the base, of course, because that was not part of the commission. However, everything else is looking nice and spiffy. Give me a nice made-for-TV view there. And where's a good close-up? Yeah, there we go. So yeah, that's another episode of the, let me get straight here, Poncho's Paint Booth, all finished. Once again, with our Venomcrawler, blacklegion. And as always, if you're watching this, go down into, this corner here, like, subscribe to Multi-Murdy Media. You will get this channel, playlist, Poncho's Paint Booth, which is all my hobbies and painting and what you've just seen. And you also get various playlists for the Gutsy Ass Gamer, which is Twitch and video games, stuff like that. And what is this? Yeah. Okay. And then what else are you going to get? And you'll also get the video version of the Jankety Ass podcast, which is my podcast with me and my buddy Tom. It'll hopefully be growing eventually. Alright, smart scan. Thank you. Fucking Norton. And speaking of the podcast, if you'd rather listen if you want to listen instead of watch, you can also find the Jankety Ass podcast on every major podcasting platform. So that's your iTunes, your Spotify, your Pandora, and a bunch of other ones in between. And last but not least, also check out Multi-Murdy Media on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and .com. That's my website. You get all the links there. You'll get updates whenever episodes come out. Just stay tuned. Wait for the end slate. I got the addresses to all the major stuff that you need right here at the end. So, as always, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more.